you know, I never lost a fight until I broke my vow to the Lord. I said, if you send me back from Vietnam to defend my title, heavyweight title, Pacific Fleet title, if you send me back, I won't drink, I won't mess around with the women, and I'll train real hard. That was my prayer. So I'm running the deck, and I'm an aircraft director on a flight deck, and we're going into Subic Bay, Philippines, for an R&R, and foul weather, and the ship's doing this. I'm running the deck. Every chance I got, I ran the deck, because I trained real hard because I had faith that they may send me back to defend my title. Now, it's the Navy sending me back. It's nobody else. So if the Navy deemed it important for me to defend my title, they'd send me back. But how many to know, you know, the Navy's pretty big. You know, so I'm running the deck. The captain of the ship comes down, sends a Marine Corps adjutant to get me. I didn't have a clue what was up. I'm figuring, well, I'm in for it now. I mean, the captain of the ship doesn't talk to people like me. So I walk over to the captain, salute him. Yes, sir. He says, Sullivan. He said, so your title's coming up pretty soon, right? I said, well, yes, sir. He says, you want to go back and defend your title? I said, yes, sir. Like, who told you, you know? He said, well, I got a letter here from the 12th Naval District. They want you to come back. He said, you want to go? Well, yes, sir. Meanwhile, the petty officers, the officer of the deck, all my cronies, everybody got their head out looking at the captain talking to Sully, wondering what in the world is going on here. He said, well, he said, when we get into Subic Bay, he says, take whatever liberty you need. And then he said, make your way to Clark Air Force Base. And he said, everything's taken care of. Pick up your paperwork and personnel and, you know, good luck. Shook my hand. Another thing captains don't do. People like me shake their hand. And, man, but I forgot about my vow. Have you ever said something the Lord didn't kind of forgot what you said? Yeah, well, I did. And so my first fight was for the Pacific AAU Championships in San Francisco. The guy I fought could have been a double for Sonny Liston. Looked just like him. When I looked across the ring, I thought it was Sonny Liston. But he's pro, this guy's amateur. Anyway, I beat this guy all over the ring for 3 rounds. Won it, unanimous decision. The next fight, the next week, I fought the Nevada State heavyweight champion. Knocked him out in 45 seconds of the first round. And the guy was 6'5", 240 pounds. I mean, crazy. And, but the problem was I had a girlfriend. And before the fight, before the fight in the collegiate heavyweight champion, me and my buddy were looking for a place to have a cup of coffee. Went to 3 restaurants, their coffee machines were broke. And the last place we went was a Pizza Hut, so I had a beer. Well, went back, and my boxing coach was George Foreman's boxing coach the year before. He was a U.S. Olympic boxing coach. And a guy named Emil Griffith, which was a middleweight champion of the world. I mean, we had quite a staff, okay? So I get there when the light heavies are getting ready to fight. I mean, they're looking all over this place. The place is packed, hundreds of people. They can't find me. I'm the heavyweight main event, right? So I walk in. Where in the world you been? I said, well, we had a hard time finding some coffee. So they sit me down, and they got a guy on each hand wrapping my hands. And my coach, I could tell he smelled the beer on my breath. Now, he didn't say nothing. I don't know if he figured I was afraid or what. But I mean, they went to a big expense to get me back. You think about it. The Navy paid for me to go from Subic Bay to Clark Air Force Base, which, by the way, I rented a plane. A small single-engine plane. The pilot knew my mom and Betty.
No.
This is crazy stuff, okay? So I rent this plane. The flight is like 30 minutes from Subic Bay to Clark. By bus, it's 5 hours. Well, I wasn't going to take a bus. Now, I didn't have a lot of money, but I just said, I'm going to fly. So I'm talking to the guy before we get in the plane, and he said, yeah, well, have you ever flown in a small airplane? I said, oh, yeah. I said, I got a license. He said, you do? Where'd you learn? I said, my mom and her partner, Betty Clark, run the airport in Ruffalo, Colorado, the crop dusters. I said, we're crop dusters. He said, I know them. So he let me fly the plane. I mean, go figure, right? So anyway, I get ready, they're wrapping my hands, and I get ready to, they're getting ready to walk me into the ring. And our team, the Navy team, was the best Navy team in the history of the Navy. And I was the heavyweight. A guy named Jesse Reed was middleweight. He went on to fight pro. He ended up training Macho Camacho and some world middleweight champions. This guy, started LA School of Boxing, the whole thing. A guy named Al Robinson, who went to the Olympics, won the silver medal. We had some really very highly talented people. So, but nobody knew me. I won the championship the year before, but nobody really knew me. So I'm getting ready to walk in the ring, and my coach says, look, he says, don't let this guy bother you, because we get to the corner, this guy's 6'5", 240, he kind of looks like the Hulk type guy, And I mean, I was like almost 6'2", 197, but I was really ripped. I mean, I was really defined, but I wasn't massive at all. So he takes off his jersey, and everybody goes, ooh, the crowd goes, I take off mine, they go, ooh, So this was like going to be, the Battle of the Titans, right? My coach says, don't let him worry you. Just look at this as a sparring match. Trying to make, he didn't know me. I mean, he just met me the week before. I looked at him and I said, who's going to tell him? Well, he didn't know how to answer me. I mean, just... So I won that fight.
You probably couldn't believe the options.
And then, I had some other fights, but the moral of this story is you don't want to make a vow and break it. That's why Jesus says, don't make a vow. Because why? He knows our nature. He knows you're going to screw it up. Just let your, response be yay or nay. Are you going to train real hard? Yes. Are you going to stay away from the women? Yes. Or I'll try. So, the key fight that launches me to the inter-service championships, the guy I'm fighting is running from me because the newspapers had me winning everything. And this was in San Diego. So he's circling, the guy's just staying away from me. Well, I got a little frustrated, so I stepped in front of him, threw a right hand, and on his way down, he does this to equalize his balance, clips me on the chin, breaks my jaw. Because it was cracked the fight before in Seattle. And I didn't get the message at that time. But I had to wear braces on my teeth for 6 weeks. Later on, after the Lord saved my wretched soul, I'm looking back and I realize I went through some suffering. And you know what my suffering did? It opened my eyes and my spirit to the fact that I had sinned with my mouth. And you know why he dealt that strongly with me? I didn't realize this till later on in my life, but and in my ministry, but I sinned with my mouth. That's a no-no for me because I have a prophetic calling. I have to be careful what I say. Now, I still have tremendous liberty, but I'm careful what I say because, you know, I want to make sure that I'm being led and being fed by him. The trial of my faith brought suffering. But you know what? It was, and it remains to this day, to be much more precious than gold in my life. So, the daughter of the lady that passed away felt pretty bad. But I was able to help her see that it was necessary. It was out of her hands, really. I mean,